Namaskar doston, Secrets of Astrology welcomes all of you. And friends, we are going for a very special podcast with a very senior and serious person in the field of astrology, whom I always followed on Facebook. I will tell many things about him at first. A person who speaks with least words, but that impacts a lot. Initially, I thought that he is a core journalist, but later on, I came to know that he was a man of finance. He held many positions in corporate and also was CEO in a very big corporation. And then suddenly he thought of to quit the core domain of finance or corporate world and started teaching to the students finance. And somewhere around 2002, he was determined to enter into a different world, that is the world of astrology. He started his journey, and right now in Bombay, he is one of the best academic teacher. I'm putting word academic teacher who can feel the text, who can think by his own, and who can deliver those things to the upcoming youth that how to breathe in the space of Vedic astrology. Friends, I am speaking about Shri Sunder Balakrishnan ji. Sir, pranam. Whatever I spoke about you was the least word from my side, but I bow at your feet, and I'm aware of that. This is going to be a series of great sessions. As you know that this series is based on how to start your journey in field of astrology. As I know that from a very sound background of the professional world, you also took decision to enter into the field of astrology. And as I know that this is a consistent path, and at every stage your maturity is going to be very different. Your do's and don'ts are going to be very different. So I would ask you that not for the mature guys are the professional, but for the beginners or infants in the field of astrology, you can correlate things from your own journey and you can guide them how to proceed in the field of astrology. So, sir, stage is yours, and I'm again here to listen to you, sir.
Thank you, Anupam ji. See, first and the foremost thing that one should do is learn Sanskrit. Okay? Tell you about myself. I just got my MA in Sanskrit and full-time Sanskrit course, which I did for 5 years, and that was just in 2020. Why I'm telling you should know Sanskrit is because today there are many books which have come in the market, which claims to be Sanskrit Hindi or Sanskrit English translation. But there are many loopholes in that, in the sense, there are missing. You can interpret the way you want if you know Sanskrit. That is one thing that the students should know. Second is, don't stick to the core book knowledge. Never do that. You should always see, in astrology there are no rules, fixed set of rules. Say for example, in a horoscope, if you want to study about the horoscope of a person of a native, you can do n number of predictions just by taking the basic panchang parameters which are there: tithi, var, karan, yog, nakshatra. Okay, like for example, if you know the tithi, you know which are the signs which are tithi shunya. Okay, so you can make great number of predictions by that. These things are not mentioned in any of the classical books. Okay. Like for example, another thing is current. the day when you are born, for each and every current there is a lord, and for each and every current there is a sign also. Take your horoscope, see where the karana lord is. Let me tell you, you will get anything and everything with respect to that particular house and that karakatva of that karana lord, but you will never be satisfied with that particular aspect of life. Okay? And third thing is, any astrologer, any student, if he wants to become an astrologer, first thing is he should maintain a diary in his life as to what all things have happened in his life on a day-to-day basis. Okay, that is a must. And whatever events that happen in your family members' life, that also you make it a point to write it in diary and keep a record. And as and when you see the events happening, check your chart, check your transit, you will see the event happening. I will tell you, for example, today we are having this session.
Yeah.
Okay? Where is moon going today? It is going in Ketu Nakshatra, if I'm not mistaken. In my chart, Ketu is there in the 12th house. Ketu is the occult knowledge. Ketu is astrology. And we are having this session. You just make a note of where moon is traveling in your chart on a daily basis. You will be able to see the event happening as it is. As it is. And finally, in astrology, don't follow fixed rules. Never follow fixed rules. It's a game where there are no rules. Okay?
Mhm.
I've seen people following only KP astrology.
Mhm.
If you follow some fixed set of rules, it is like a horse who's having that kind of a, उसको बोलते हैं ना कि narrow minded हो जाता है. And finally, if you want to learn astrology, you cannot learn from the books. Never you cannot learn. You have to have a guru who can teach you, and only then you can learn. At least he should be able to handhold you for some time, and then you can take it forward. These are my humble submissions.
So I think you have given a broad picture of our upcoming sessions. But as I know that the first foremost principle is going to be that books are having many things withhold in that, but that is by the Rishi Chetna. That is, you can have Shabdarth, but you cannot have Bhavat. If you have Bhavat also, you don't have Bodharth. If you have Bodharth also, you don't have Godarth. So that is your successive development of your consciousness, which cannot be, you will not get that without any Guru. And Guru is a direction. Guru is not a
Yeah.
physical entity. But I am taking, I think this feel that books are having a basic grammar, which is not taught, which is not, I think, clearly dictated somewhere in the books. But somebody is there who can guide you about those grammar. And as you said earlier, that Sanskrit is going to be a key language to understand astrology of seers and what they feel like. But as I think that you also started someday, and that was going to be your first day, then how in your initial journey you came across that astrology is somewhere else, which is not in the books, but you have to understand through your logical understanding. So, what was that point, sir?
See, See, logical understanding is astrology is nothing but, according to me, is logic.
Yeah.
Astrology is logic, simple.
Mhm.
Okay. You should know, say, for example, in the classical books, they have given the interpretation of each and every shloka based on what was happening in those days by Rishi Munis.
Mhm.
You have to apply that in today's scenario.
Mhm.
Okay. For example, vehicles, for example. Okay. Vahan Sukh. Okay. Now, there is nothing as Vahan Sukh which is mentioned in any of the astrological classical books. You will say Gadi, Goda, Hati, they mention. So you have to take it in a wider sense and then apply the rules there.
Mhm.
Okay. And if you take, for example, the chapters in any book, for example,
Mhm.
there are only four things which one student should know. One is about the science.
Yeah.
Okay. Second is about the houses.
Houses.
Third is about the planets. Fourth is about the nakshatra. If these four, if you know thoroughly, you have mastered astrology. But if you read the books, you will get confused to a great extent. Confused. Okay. Now, eighth house in any particular books you will see,
Mhm.
eighth house they will all talk of negative things only,
Mhm.
but it is not so.
Yeah.
It is not so. Sixth house they talk of only all negative things,
Mhm.
but it is not so. Here comes the question of logic. Here you have to see what happened and what has happened in your family members' life. Now I will tell you today's experience. Today's experience. My younger brother's daughter-in-law is going to undergo a cesarean today.
Mhm.
Okay. I was telling my wife this was just based on Gochar Ketu.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
He is a Taurus Lagna.
Mhm.
She is going through Venus Dasha, Venus Antardasha. Venus is there in the fifth house.
Mhm.
Okay. I was telling her Gochar Ketu is going to create problem for her.
Mhm.
Going to create problem for her.
Mhm.
Okay. Why I told? Because Ketu also has an aspect to the houses third and the 11th house in addition to the fifth and the ninth house.
Yeah.
Tell me how many people follow the third and the 11th house aspects?
Huh.
How many people? Nobody follows. Okay. Like simple logic, another logic I'll tell you.
And you're
For
dealing
Sthir Lagan,
and you're dealing in Argalas, all those things.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now for Sthir Lagan, planets in the ninth house or the ninth lord becomes the Padak.
Yes.
Correct?
True.
I asked question to myself, when the ninth house can be a fortune house, Bhagya house, how can it create a Padak?
Mhm.
The basic question that one should ask, no?
Mhm.
And I saw many people in the South India following the third house or the planet in third house of the Sthir Lagan are Badak.
Mhm.
Apply that
Mhm.
and tell me. This is where the logic plays a very important role.
Yes. So that is, I think you have given a very larger picture again here. And as I'm exploring that, if you have a successful, great foundation in field of astrology, with the four pillars which you spoke about, then you can start your thinking, which of course my master Astro Master Yukaja is telling Socho Bujho Jano, and that lines with the same thing only. But in next episode, I am going to discuss few things on the schemes of the core books which are available, and of course we have seen many invasions on our knowledge front also, demolishment of our knowledge centers also. So I will ask few question on episode 2. uh, Sir, you have to stay with us, and in episode 2.
Yeah, sure.